Ladies and gentlemen, well, welcome to Meat People, the podcast to the Southwest Meat Association. I can't wait to have these conversations, and we're going to do everything we can to make it entertaining and valuable and a great representation of meeting the people.
Enough, everybody. Welcome to the Meet People podcast.
Perfect.
Sarah, I really appreciate you doing it. Thanks for you're presenting here at the forum. I keep wanting to call it the mid-year because that's just the way I picture it. But it's kind of the Meet Forum, MEAT Forum. So now we're going to do a Meet People podcast, and we've got Sara Scott. And we've debated for a minute. By the way, hi everybody out on YouTube. I'm Neil Dudley. I'm the host, and Sarah and I were debating for a second, like, have we met before? Do we actually know each other? And then we're kind of like, maybe don't. I don't know. So we're going to go forward and see what we can learn. So my first question was, and we kind of laughed about it, but I am curious, where does Sarah come from? How do you get a name Sarah?
Well, I'm not sure that I can go so far to give you the origin of a name Sarah, but I originally grew up in the Central Valley of California on my family's cow-calf and stocker operation. So love of the beef industry started at a very, very young age and grew up on that family operation and were the paid employee, right? So the child labor at the time, but really grew just a love and respect for others in the industry. And then after spending my childhood there, went on to go to school at Oklahoma State University and graduated in ag business and marketing dual major, and realized at that point in time, going back to California really wasn't in the cards for me. I wanted to go see some other parts of the world, not sure exactly what that would be, but I landed working for Certified Angus Beef and worked out of their main office there just south of Cleveland, Ohio, for a few years out of the office, and then held up various positions with them and moved around a little bit to manage different territories and so forth. Today, my family and I, we live in southeast Kansas, where we have a cow-calf operation that my husband, Travis, runs full-time. We've got two small kids, 10 and 7, that are active in 4-H. So we're doing all the 4-H stuff, showing cattle, showing pigs. So that's a little bit of my journey in a nutshell. While I was at Certified Angus Beef, I really learned and appreciated the meat side of the industry, though, and spent all my time working with food service buyers, retail buyers, packers, processors, and so not as much time on the live animal side. So I really feel fortunate to have a great understanding of truly gate to plate and all segments of the supply chain, and really the bridge to connect all of those is a lot of fun and I think necessary, because there's not a lot of people that know what it takes to raise cattle and what it takes to sell the beef they produce.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit, I guess, about me in a nutshell.
It gives us a lot of strings to pull on.
Sure.
How'd you like Stillwater?
Well, I love Stillwater. I love my time at Oklahoma State. Yeah, I grew up showing pigs, actually, and traveled ultimately all over the country doing that. And just, I'm a real big personal believer in youth and agriculture. And that really showed me just other big schools out there, other parts of the nation, but then instilled in me the confidence, I guess, to go as a freshman all the way to Stillwater, Oklahoma, from a pretty small town in California. I know a lot of people think California, big city, but I grew up in a very small rural area, and I love Stillwater. It was a great place to go to school.
Well, I went to school there for about a year and a half. I went to Texas Tech for 4 years. Then I graduated, kind of didn't know what I'm going to do.
It happens.
Right. Professor's like, well, you want to go to grad school?
More school, right?
And I was like, well, do they have a rodeo team? He's like, well, Oklahoma State does. And so I went to Oklahoma State, rodeoed. Anyways, I really loved Stillwater. I loved Lubbock. I loved Stillwater. Coming from small town Texas, those two schools just worked really good for me.
Same. I think that was the thing about Stillwater. I got plugged in as a freshman with some different ag groups, and it was just a lot of small town kids that wanted to get out and see something else and further their education. And it didn't feel overwhelming when you think about coming from really rural America, because you were surrounded by other kids, very similar upbringing.
Yeah. So that gate to plate thing you said.
Yes.
Can I steal that? It sounds like a
Sure.
nice little marketing slogan. I know gate to plate.
Yeah.
And
I'm not the only one, so go ahead and steal it,
there
reuse
you
it,
go.
have at
farm
it.
to fork. I
Yeah.
hear that quite a bit, or farm to plate, that kind of thing.
Yep.
But it is a unique perspective.
It is.
I grew up on a ranch, and I had no clue I was in the meat business. I thought I was in the cow business.
Exactly.
I didn't even
Yeah.
know I was in the grass business. Well,
you are, yes.
Right. So the truth is, that's where it all starts. The land, the grass. We're just converting an unuseful resource by humans into a useful resource, or at least is my 2 cents. Pull on that a little bit, or that string a little bit. So while you're at CAB and you have these kind of two perspectives, did you find that helped you in your career? Like, let's say you're in marketing and you're coaching people and teaching people these things. What was kind of the big win there that you felt like?
Well, it helped immensely, especially in the first few years of my career. I was pretty young in my career. I didn't come up in a retail background, a restaurant background, food service distribution. I mean, that was not my background.
Yeah.
But yet I was plopped into that universe. That was where I was working, was amongst people that knew that space.
Yeah.
And so to have the credibility right out of the gate of, well, I know how this product is raised and produced, and I can speak to that voice. And then I just became a sponge for understanding the rest, a sponge for understanding, right, all the parts of the carcass, how it's determined, the value, all those sorts of things. And I mean, I'm just really immersed myself in it and kind of never looked back. But, over the course of my career, which has been more than just a few years now at this point, there's just been bigger and bigger interest in how cattle are raised and what does that look like. And there's been certainly a lot of misconceptions out of there. I think sometimes people fill the gaps of what they don't know. Instead of placing it with trust, they place it with fear. And that starts to come
Preach.
Right.
I mean, it's so true.
It's true, and it's true beyond just how cattle are raised and, animal protein and so forth. But when you have those gaps of unknown, people are so far removed from how their food is raised, generations removed, and it's like, well, I'm not sure it's done right. And they start to question it.
Yeah.
And so I felt very fortunate, and still do today, that I can help fill in some of those gaps and be able to talk about that from a personal standpoint. But then just going back in my own individual network, being around a lot of cattle ranchers and people that are raising animals for meat production, not understanding why is it so expensive at the grocery store?
Yeah.
Why does a steak cost so much when you go out to a nice steak dinner? And being able to share that back. So, yeah, I would definitely not just take pride in that, but I really take it as a responsibility because there's not very many people that know the full spectrum. And it is a responsibility just to better understand food if you're a part of it. And you can share all the pieces of the supply chain with somebody that wants to learn and get better. I think you absolutely should. So certainly an advantage when I was early on in my career.
Yeah.
But I would say becoming a sponge of why is meat sold the way it is, and then really trying to understand why the consumer wants to purchase meat, beef, whatever, what drives that.
Sure. I mean, listeners, you gotta hear what she's talking about. It's like, if you want to be in this industry, if you want to have success in this industry, if you want to be a part of solving some of those disconnects
Right.
that, like we just have a culture, a society that's way removed from food production, and solving those questions, replacing the fear with understanding, all that kind of stuff. Just makes me say, wow, that is so important. And I'm so glad an educated, passionate person like you's out there doing it.
Right.
What's your take on some of I want to say Tucker Brown. Are you familiar with this guy?
A little bit. I wouldn't say I'm overly familiar.
Well,
but.
let's say, who else? Have you got anybody that you watch on social that you feel like does a pretty good job? There's a couple dairy kind of people that are out there. What's your take on that?
I mean, I think it's great. I think that it's great in production agriculture to be out there telling your story. I think the other thing that you have to keep in mind when you're doing that is not to overwhelm people with information. it's a lot to consume if you have no understanding on the other end. And if you're watching a video and you don't even know what's in the video, let alone somebody in the video is trying to explain to you what they're doing.
Palpating a cow or something.
Right. I mean,
that
can be scary to look at,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you don't have that perspective. And I think that is maybe something that we have to be really careful of as advocates for the industry that understand production agriculture, not to work hard. I just got to educate them. I need to educate them. Well, not everybody wants to be educated to. Most people don't, right? They maybe want to learn, they want to inquire, but they also want to know that they can feel good about things. They just want to have trust. I don't need to know the entire process. I just need to trust that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? The communication opens that up, but sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. And I think for me, when I'm working with companies today, I'm mainly working with meat companies or livestock operations that are selling to a consumer of some sort or B2B. And what I share with them is, hey, I can step in and speak your language, understand the dynamics of the market, understand, what that rancher is going through, or understand what's happening to that chef in the back of the house. But at the same time, you can't expect them to know everything about your business.
Yeah.
And it's unfair to think they're going to care about your business as much as you do, because they're not. They care about themselves.
That's a really good statement. I probably never thought about it exactly like that. It's like, it's just kind of unfair to expect that they're going to know it all.
Or want to know it all.
I would feel like it would be unfair for me if somebody expected me to know everything about engineering a building site. I'm not. I can't even begin to figure it out. Growing up in the industry, you start taking for granted a lot of the things you just know, like differences between sandy soil and black soil, difference between a black-skinned cow or haired cow and a red-haired cow, pig differences. Did you ever judge meat? By the way, just like, change subject.
Switch gears a little bit.
Almost everybody I've talked to, and you're talking about showing pigs and this thing, did you ever judge meat?
I never did meat judging. I did dabble in some livestock judging.
Yeah.
That was probably my biggest mistake of not knowing what I was going to do after college. I went to Oklahoma State, fantastic, meat program there, and never once stepped foot in the meat lab when I was a student. So if I had known where the path was going to take me, probably would have spent a little more time there. Definitely did a lot of on-the-ground training for years and years.
But we just don't know.
I always thought I was going to be on the livestock side. I grew up with beef cattle. Honestly, I thought I'll work with ranchers in some sort of a way after school. And then once I was exposed to working with retailers, food service distributors, restaurants, meat shops, that sort of thing, I just kind of fell in love with learning about it and learning how it all connected and learning how to sell ultimately to the end consumer and all the steps along the way that it takes to get an animal protein, beef in particular, to market.
Yeah.
It's a journey. So no meat judging for me.
Okay, good. You're one of the, at this point, 3 people I've talked to didn't judge meat. So I've been talking to professors, a lot of A&M graduates, other meat industry people that were just kind of grew up in it, so they judged. It was just an interesting thing. I thought, man, this is kind of crazy. Almost everybody I talked to has judged meat. I never did. I judged horses. I kind of dabbled in some livestock judging, but wasn't very good at it.
Now, I can't walk past a meat case today at a retailer and not judge the meat in the
There you
case.
go.
So,
That's right.
Forever, that's in my mind. Let's just see what they got in the meat case back there and what that looks like. So I still have that in my system.
You're not writing the reasons, but you are judging it.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we all do. If you pick up a steak, 2 steaks, you look at them, you pick the one you like better.
Yep.
Some people are looking for lean. Some people are looking for marbling. Probably works the same way with pork and chicken and every other kind of animal protein. Now, what is your business called and what does your business do? I have some guesses. I think it might be better for you to just tell me.
Well, why don't we start, with that part of it than the guesses. I don't know. I guess I'm intrigued. So my business is Sara Scott Coaching, and what I do is I help meat companies build a message and define their customer so they can stop competing on price and start competing on value. And really what that means is coming in and saying, okay, who is it that you sell to today, and who would you like to sell to more?
Yeah.
Right? If you could have 1,000 customers, what would they all look like? And then how do we build a message that speaks to them individually? And the more specific you get in your message, the less you compete on price.
Why do you think companies don't do that? You know, it's kind of like, seems like a super logical place to start, but it's rare that companies do that well. I mean, that's how you have a whole business around coaching them how to do it.
Exactly.
Do you have a perspective on that, or why?
I think it's hard because, like we were talking about, when you grow up in an industry, you know it and you love it. And so when you're in a business and you're in a position where you're defining who your customer is and how you're going to market to them, I mean, typically you're pretty excited about the product or the service you provide. Even if you don't own the organization, you're probably pretty excited and passionate about what you do. And so you think a wider audience needs to be your customer than maybe is actually needed. And you maybe think they need to know more information than is actually needed. And we call that a little bit of the curse of knowledge. You almost know too much. It's hard to unlearn it.
Yeah.
And so then it's hard to unsee it too, right? Once you kind of learn something, you see it, you recognize it everywhere. And that's the process you follow. And those are the kind of people or businesses you go after. Of, you know, if you sell, one example that I like to use, and I'll share with the group tomorrow, is just as a consumer looking at the ice industry. So if you sell ice, well, who do you sell it to? Well, everybody needs ice, so I sell it to everybody. Right? And there's a lot of different ice companies out there. I've got an example tomorrow of one that sells 8 little balls of ice for $30 a package. You think they're selling ice because you want a cold drink?
Right.
No, they're selling an experience. And the more specific you can get to your customer, the more specific in your messaging, and the less price comes into play. Yeah. And I think that's really important, especially with beef right now, because it is already a high price item. We've got good consumer demand. The grade out has been incredible. And so your odds of having a fantastic eating experience are really good. But there's a lot of brands out there that are trying to find ways to differentiate themselves through some sort of a story. Well, if the story is more focused on who you are as a company and it's your company values and less about the actual customer and driven by what makes your customer want to buy, there can be a disconnect and really an opportunity to grow your sales when you can connect the two better.
Registration is now open for SMA's 70th Annual Convention and Supplier Showcase, happening July 22nd through the 25th. Join the Southwest Meat Association for one of the industry's longest-standing events, bringing together professionals from across the meat industry for networking, education, and connection. From engaging sessions to valuable face-to-face opportunities on the Supplier Showcase floor to activities and experiences that make it fun for the whole family. This is an event you don't want to miss. Visit our website to register today and secure your spot.
Hello, meat people. This is Rick Kimbrell with Start Clean. I want to share with you real quick about how ocean near misses and recordables can be related to each other. We chose to reduce the number of recordables by using the red card, yellow cards used in soccer. We use it proactively to coach safety and to have more conversations with our employees about safety. It's familiar, it's non-threatening, it's a great warning system. Call us, it's a free program. I'll be happy to share it with you to keep all of our meat people safe.
Oh, that's a great insight. Thanks for sharing it. And unfortunately, the podcast probably isn't going out tonight. So like when people are listening to this, you need to go find the transcript or come back next year to the meat forum or come to the Southwest Meat Association convention and hear these experts come speak. I was curious, are you an SMA member? How did this whole scenario come up?
So the whole scenario came up. Lacey Bates reached out to me after hearing me on actually another podcast talking about marketing in particular and identifying the right customer. Yeah. And my understanding is that somebody that's on their board said,
hey, let's get Sarah.
Well, or no, not even me by name, but hey, we need somebody that can talk about marketing and to help organizations that are members here just look at their marketing a little bit differently. I think in a small or mid-sized company, marketing can sometimes be the catch-all of, we need this created, we need this event done.
And we need a new email.
Exactly. We need, it's very reactionary versus how can you actually develop it where it's fueling your sales and not just there picking up the phone and being a reaction to what's needed in the moment.
Sure.
And so she had heard me on a podcast and reached out to see if I was interested. And I love being around others in the meat industry, so it was a pretty easy yes for me.
Well, that's cool. I mean, a lot of your perspectives I think are really good. I'm sure the audience is going to enjoy it. I hope some future meat industry people are thinking, oh, you don't have to be a butcher to be in the meat business. You could also be a person that wants to tell the story or to help companies see their blind spots a little bit. It's like, hey, I get you. This is your favorite customer, but you're not trying to sell to them ever. You're trying to sell to these other people who just don't care.
Right.
Like it's kind of weird. Why are you doing that? And you just get, as a company sometimes, where you can't think about it like that.
Well, you're in the trenches every day, right? And so it's hard to not just step back and look at the bigger picture or look at something with a really fresh set of eyes, because you don't have a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
You've been exposed, you're working in that environment, within that organization, within your same customer base, day in, day out. It is really hard to just stop and say, are we going the right direction? Do we need to go a different direction? Are we saying the right things? If no one has ever heard of us before, what's their first impression?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just the realities.
Yeah.
But being able to take a minute and look at that can have great dividends for an organization in helping them grow their sales and profits.
This could be a question that you might not have any insight on, but I was talking to a guy.
My favorite kind.
Well, you might, I mean, I'm talking to a guy this morning, and he's like, he's finding that retailers are raising prices on branded beef and keeping private label beef low, even break even or below cost. And they're kind of paying attention more to category margins than item margins. And his estimation was beef is actually still kind of falsely held down from the prices it should be at. Was he telling the truth? Do you see that? Does any of that make sense from your seat?
From my seat, I don't know if I quite understand everything that he was seeing. Now, when you would say typically a retailer that's offering several different things in the meat case, which I think most retailers need to have some choices for consumers, and they're going to have a choice, typically could be a private label that is going to be the price point.
Yeah.
And that's
good, better, best kind of strategy.
Exactly.
Like
Good, better, best. I mean, you will see during the holiday season, certainly pretty aggressive ads just to get people in the door. That could be a loser right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Because people decide where they shop by perimeter store, and the meat case is a big determinant for who's coming in. So although they might be taking a loss at the meat case, they're making it up somewhere else, right? Making up that margin somewhere else. I do think it is pretty incredible just overall what we've seen for retail prices and the continued demand for the product.
Yeah.
I mean, as a beef advocate and lover of the industry, I think it's phenomenal that beef producers have produced a product that has such great marbling, and so your odds of having a fantastic eating experience have just never been better. And that's amazing for our consumer today.
Sure. Well, and as a cow-calf guy, I mean, it's nice to make some money. Feels like we're making some money.
Any
we're
sort of
paying
guy,
our
I think
cows
it's nice
off.
to make some money.
That's right. So it's kind of like, well, that's cool. This is fun. Let's see if we can keep it like this. And then so you're kind of sitting here nervous all the time, like, uh-oh. What if this thing turns,
I have talked to some cow-calf guys, and they're like, man, I thought I would feel different with these kind of prices, but I'm just a little nervous.
It's kind of the truth about farmers and ranchers.
Right.
They can't ever be happy.
You can't take a moment just to enjoy it. It's like, okay, when's the rug going to get pulled out? I mean, it's hard when you don't control the price of the product that you produce at a very high level.
Which I think is cool what you're talking about. You're trying to offer options and scenarios in which you get to control the price a bit. Instead of being a price taker, you get to be a price set. I forget the words there, but like you get to set your price more than just take what they'll offer.
Well, if you just think about, even as an individual person or as a business owner, or like I said, we have a cow-calf operation back home. And there are certain elements of that business where I don't ever price shop because I have a personal relationship with the person I'm buying from, or I've had phenomenal customer service, or I just trust that they're doing the right thing. And yeah, it might cost me a little bit more, but I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And that can be applied across so many different industries. And I think the headline right now with beef, besides low supply, is high prices. Okay, so how can you talk to your customer in a way that they don't automatically go to the price every single time?
Yeah.
And what is helping them with their problems that you can be solving? Not necessarily the product maybe that you offer, but how does that correlate to the problem they need solved? And that works for B2B too. And, you buy from people that you trust, people that have been where you're at, understand your position, and then have the authority to help you get to where you want to go.
Yeah. Networks, relationships. I hope everybody's hearing that, because that's another reason to be a part of the SMA. The whole podcast is to encourage people to be a part of this organization. It's also to tell the stories of people that we really value partnering with or learning from, and even just knowing as kind of people who have built this industry in some way.
Your network can always make you better, right? It's all about the people you surround yourself with. You hear that saying starting as a little kid, right? Who are your friends? And it's not just that of, what organizations can you join or be a part of that make you better? I've been out on my own for a little over a year now, and I know that's been a huge focus for me of where can I immerse myself with people that are where either I want to go, or people that are willing to brainstorm ideas and workshop things that are in similar industry, similar situation. And that's how you get better as an individual, but that's how your business gets better too, just like a network here.
Yeah. How did you, what was the catalyst or reason for starting your own business?
I've just always had a little bit of an entrepreneur spirit. That's really
sometimes
it.
people just say, I want to own it.
Yeah, and I wanted to do it for several years, and I think like most entrepreneurs, it was like, oh, not right now. And then just being completely frank, God made it very clear to me that it was right now. So it was definitely became a timing, but it was more, I grew up in a home of, my parents are both entrepreneurs and self-employed. My husband today is self-employed. My in-laws raise cattle. My brother feeds cattle. They're all self-employed. So I was the black sheep by having
this
an outside job, corporate job of some kind. And so it was just more of, all right, let's see if I can do it. I've wanted to do it and see where it goes, and the opportunity along the way, and you start immersing yourself in that. Like I said, I've worked to find others that have had the similar path or are on the similar path today.
What is the piece of that business ownership that you, I hate to go negative, but what's the part you dislike the most?
The accounting.
Yes.
I think as I was getting ready from closing out the books, I was like, next year I got to find a way to not do this. I need somebody else.
I do that every year. Even right now, this very moment, I'm sitting here thinking, oh crap, I haven't started on my income tax at all. I don't have my books organized. And so I'm like, I'm going to get a bookkeeper. And then the bookkeeper says, well, I'm $600 a month. And I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. I think I'm getting to the point where it's like, okay, I got to go hustle up some more so I can do that $600 a month, because the bookkeeping, I like doing a mix of, some behind the computer work, but I like being out.
Yeah.
I like not having to be stuck behind a computer, and unfortunately that's where a lot of the bookkeeping has to take place.
Okay, so we started negative first. So then what's the most fun part? Is it designing these strategies? Is it working with the people? What's the most fun part to you?
The most fun part is probably when I get to work with a team that is ready to push themselves to do better and push themselves to really get defined in who they serve in the marketplace, and being able to help facilitate some of those conversations. And
why do you say push?
Because I do think you have to challenge yourself.
It's not easy.
Right. It's not easy. And your company is also, whether you're an owner or an executive or a leader, your company is going to evolve over time too. The marketplaces evolve. Yeah. And so what you decide today, likelihood that it's still relevant even 24 months later, you need, probably unlikely, but once you learn the skill set to notice that in the market and notice how to adjust, or notice we need to pause for a minute. There's big enough changes that have happened either in our business or in the market, and we need to really get specific on where we're going and then develop a plan of how do we get there. Yeah. So I think that's fun. It's fun to work with teams.
Setting up a cadence even of like, hey, challenge our personas a little bit. Challenge the things we're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, just as individuals, you learn as you go, and you start listening to podcasts or reading other resources, or you go to an event like this and you hear something and you hear it just a little bit different, like, oh, I could apply that here, and how does it impact the bigger picture? So when I get to sit down with those teams that know they have a great product or they have a great service, but they're not seeing the sales they think they should be. They could have great sales, but they think, man, this could be better. How do we really sharpen our message and further talk to our customer and how we serve them? Yeah. I mean, they're just fun conversations because, working with people that want to challenge themselves and grow, to me, is always fun. I mean, and might not be the most comfortable experience all the time,
right?
But I think sometimes you just get a little comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah. My wife, her name's Stacy, and she was in the music business. Like, she ran through or lived through Napster, coming along, and the ripples that created in that whole industry.
I haven't heard Napster in a long time.
Well,
but yes.
Right, but it's a kind of a good allusion to everything could change in a snap, especially with the way AI is kind of evolving and touching things in such a different way. Anyways, I always think back to that piece of her story and think, that's right. I mean, it's pretty crazy how quick it can change.
And I think for the membership of SMA, my understanding is more small to medium size entities. The thing that can work to your advantage is how much more nimble you can be in having to make those changes. The big guys might have the dollars, they might have the team and the resources, but you can probably move quicker in the moment when you spot those opportunities because things have changed so quickly.
That's just all brilliant stuff. Everybody, tell somebody about it. You go look Sarah up, bring her into your organization. I'm sure if she has time, she'd love to help you, especially if you pay big money.
Always,
we all got to make a living, right?
Yeah.
And then, last question. Did you say your husband's name is Travis?
I did.
Has he ever? Is he Travis Scott, the singer?
He is. He's not the singer, no. But he has been asked that several times, and there's been a few Uber drivers that have been very disappointed when they've picked us up and seen, you are not the Travis Scott I was hoping for. Wow. But yes, that is him.
Okay, cool deal. Well, hey, Travis, shout out to you and what y'all do as a family, really.
Absolutely.
Supporting the industry.
They're back home calving cows right now, so they're in the thick of it.
Everybody, thanks for listening. Sarah, thanks for coming to the Meat People podcast. And y'all keep watching. We're going to talk to somebody else about the meat industry. Thank you.
Thanks, Neil.